Well, again, as we are settling into this new year, 2023, the 25th anniversary of our ministry together as a congregation, the 20th anniversary of our ministry to children and families through Children of Joy, we're talking some about how we reflect on this world and this life that God has given to us, this ministry that God has given to us, not just as a congregation, but as individuals as well. We talked last week about the power of memory, the persistence of memory, about how remembering well helps us to live into tomorrow better. I want to talk a little bit today about plans. I want to talk a little bit today about how we think about what lies ahead for us in our lives. I think sometimes we rush past and we get caught up in the grind of day to day, right? You get up, you go to work, or you spend time with your family, or you do what you got to do around the house, you fix dinner, you go to bed, you wake up, you rinse, you repeat, right? And you get caught in this autopilot. I don't know if it's ever happened to you. I was supposed to be running to the grocery store the other day, and I live on the other side of 45, and so I'm getting ready and leaving the neighborhood, and I'm leaving the neighborhood, and I make a right-hand turn, and 5 minutes later, I'm halfway to the church instead of the grocery store. You do? I do that all the time. Autopilot. I think too often in life we set ourselves on autopilot and just go wherever we wind up, wherever we are led by inertia, wherever we are led by the momentum of the routines of our lives. You know, I think back to what road trips used to look like when I was a child. You know, it's 1993, and you can go travel to a grandparent's house or Disney World or wherever you're going to travel, right? What's the first thing you do? Are we there yet? No, you're in the car already if you're going, are we there yet? Right? You pull out a map. Or you call AAA. Or you go on MapQuest if you've already got, right? And you print it out. And you plan your route because you can't count on the lady on your dashboard to tell you which way to go yet. You plan your trip. You figure out your destination. And the directions are great. And we talked last week about how important it is to know where you start from, because if you've got the right directions, but you're starting from San Antonio instead of Houston, the right directions won't help you, right? That's why we talk about where we're coming from. But we also have to be intentional about where we are going. We have to give thought to what our destination is. And there are all sorts of thoughts and ideas about where our lives ought to lead us. That the good life is the happy life, and so the goal is happiness for some people. That the good life is being able to retire at 50. And so they plan their financial life around that. Some of us will retire at 90 if we're lucky. You know, but the goal changes the destination. The goal changes the route that you're going to take to get there. And as we listen to the world around us, we're bombarded with all of these options for what our life ought to look like and where we ought to be going. I turn to Matthew 6. I read it in a new way this week. I often read this passage in Matthew 6 as one who is a worrier myself, right? Matthew says, don't worry about what you're going to eat or what you're going to drink or what you're going to wear. Why are you worried about these things? God will take care of you. And yet, I still manage to worry. I still manage to find a way. And I'm drawn in this passage as I read it most recently to that line, right? Instead, desire first and foremost God's kingdom and God's justice, and all these things will be given unto you as well. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Now, I don't know about you, but as I've read that in the past, right? Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Oh, well, that's for, the St. Francis of the world who sell everything that they have, right? And give it to the poor and go and live off of the charity of others. That's not happening for me anytime soon. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Here's the part that I don't think that anybody ever made clear enough to me. You have a place in God's kingdom. You have a job to do in the kingdom of God. And yes, it might involve selling everything you have and giving it to the poor. There are people that is their role in the kingdom of God. It's not mine. And it might not be yours. But you also have a role in the kingdom of God. I love what I do, right? I get to get up here and talk about the thing that I think is most important in my life and in the world. I would do this without pay. But part of my role in the kingdom of God is also as a father and as a spouse, and not just as a preacher and a pastor. Part of my role in the kingdom of God is to live in the neighborhood in which I live and be a positive impact in that neighborhood. Part of the role of of the kingdom of God is with the people I work with, the people I interact with out in the community, all of those things. Each one of us has a unique place in the kingdom of God. To seek ye first the kingdom of God is not to say that you need to fit this perfect mold of the perfect saintly person. It's to say, what is your unique place? What is the thing that God is calling you specifically to do in your life, to add to the kingdom work? The kingdom of God needs each and every one of us. You have a unique place, a unique role to play in God's kingdom, and it will not be done without you. No one else can do it. It's yours alone. Same is true of our ministry here at Spirit of Joy. When we talk about us as an organization, we have a unique place in the kingdom of God. Look, there are churches in the Woodlands. Throw a rock. Walk around the block, you'll find 5. And that's great, because the kingdom of God is greater than Spirit of Joy. And they have a role in God's kingdom, and they have a ministry in this community, and we also have a unique voice to add, a unique work to do in God's kingdom as a community of faith. Our goal as a congregation, as individuals, is not to do everything, is not to do what everybody else is doing. Our goal is to do what God has called us uniquely to do. Behold, says God in Jeremiah, behold the plans I have for you. Some of you heard this from me before. There's a great phrase if you travel in the Middle East, if you go with me to the Holy Land this summer, you'll hear it. The word is inshallah. Inshallah means if God wills it. It's the Arabic equivalent of what my grandfather Swainer used to say, if the good Lord's will and the creek don't rise. James says the same thing in the book of James. James says, you say, I'm going to do thus and such tomorrow. You fool. Say, if God wills it, I will do thus and such tomorrow. We make our plans and we set our eyes on the destination. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. And we trust, as we move along that path, that there will be moments where we recalculate with the lady on our dashboard, where we make adjustments in our journey. But we know and we discern and we talk about, what is God calling me to? What is God calling you to? What are your gifts that you have that no one else has? What do you add to the kingdom of God that someone else might not? Maybe you're not a stand up in front of everybody in the middle of the room and talk. That's okay. We don't need 10 of us up here on a Sunday morning. You'd get bored quick. Maybe you have gifts of music. Maybe you have gifts of administration. Maybe you have gifts of community building. Maybe you have gifts of relationship building. Maybe you have gifts of leadership. How do you then carry those into your life as a family member, as a coworker, as a friend, and as a neighbor? Martin Luther talked about these as places of responsibility: our home, our work, our church, and our political community life. Each of those things we are called to live in the direction of the kingdom of God. In the direction of the kingdom of God. That is where we are going. What that looks like is what we are headed toward. So we set our destination. We seek first the kingdom of God and our place in it, so that we, each one of us, can work alongside God and one another to bring about the justice and righteousness and glory of that kingdom into the middle of this world and this life. That's our work, and that's our destination.